Hello, passengers, and welcome aboard the TV Pilot's License with service to Mom's house. We ask that you please fasten your headphones, secure your podcasting device, and remember that, hello, my name is Geoff, and I'm a TV pilot. It has been 3 years since I've watched a TV show that wasn't a pilot episode.
Welcome to the TV Pilot's License. My name is Geoff Kerbis, joined by Rich, Inman, and Max Singer. How you boys doing today?
Mom, 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 mom. Oh, sorry, wrong Chuck Lorre show.
Two and a half moms.
Well, gentlemen, this week we are talking about the CBS show known as Mom. If you want to watch before you listen to us, you can find it on Netflix. But, Max, for folks who are here for maybe the first time or maybe you're a frequent flyer, what's this podcast all about?
All right, Allison Janney heads, listen up. Here at TV Pilot's License, we break down and analyze the pilot episodes of some of TV's most famous, or in some cases, infamous shows. We learn more about how these shows came to be and were originally made, if they're effective pilot episodes in making us want to watch more, and if we think they can be made today. Go back and stream our old episodes from wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok to see our smiling faces. Thank you to everyone who's jumped on that YouTube channel. Leaps and bounds above the audio mediums. You must think we're hot. And if it is your first time flying with us, then welcome aboard.
Yeah, the first podcast with all tens.
Rich, what is your question of the week?
So I didn't prep you guys for this at all, but I'd be curious, based on the subject matter of today's episode, if you were in the circumstance of being a father at a very young age and being the age you are now with a child that would probably be in the later years of high school at this point, what would be one fun or redeeming thing that you would want to have with that kid? Like what would be like a fun activity for you guys to do? And I guess I'll go first because I didn't prep you guys.
Please do.
Sharing the wonders of the N64
Hell yeah.
would be fucking tight to bond with your teenage son. That sounds pretty rad.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think video games are such a nice way of bonding as long as they're like cool, if that makes sense. Like I don't want to be playing like Call or COD with my like son and being like, oh yeah, let's
Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah, exactly. Personally, I for those who aren't aware, I work as a personal trainer sometimes, and there's actually a couple of father-son duos that work out together, and like it's very, very just nice because they're not like trying to Hulk out. It's not like watching Arnold's pumping iron. It's literally like you just see that they're connecting, and they only do it a couple of times a week, but that's the father-son bonding time. And there's also some father-daughter duos that are out there as well. So yeah, it would probably be a healthy activity, not running, because there's always one person who's running in a running couple that does not want to be running. Max, what about yourself?
Oh, my body hasn't really changed a whole lot since I was 16, 17 years old, so I'd be looking forward to sharing clothes with my teenage son. That's right, I'm dipping into the wardrobe. Most of the stuff that was popular when we were in high school is back in vogue anyway, so, we're just going to share a wardrobe.
Speaking of not hulking out.
Oh my gosh. Well, Rich, thank you for that thoughtful question of the week. Let's talk a little bit more about Mom. And we're going to start... Yeah, your mom.
Your
specifically, not my mom, Rich's mom.
Whoever is listening right now, we're talking about your mom.
Yeah, so let's start off with a quick synopsis. A single mom recovering from alcoholism struggles to raise her kids and maintain her sobriety with or in spite of the advice of her mother. And Max, I would love to hear how this show got made.
Today we are talking about the pilot episode of Mom, which originally aired on September 23rd, 2013 on CBS. We're talking about the show's creator Chuck Lorre a bit more today. Best known for co-writing the soundtrack to the animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series in 1987 and nothing else since, it's Chuck Lorre again this week. Check out TVPL's coverage of The Big Bang Theory for more on Lorre's resume throughout the 80s and 90s. In September 2012, with Two and a Half Men and The Big Bang Theory both bringing in big ratings for CBS, Lorre inks a new deal with Warner Brothers TV and writes on spec a new comedy with two members of the Two and a Half Men team, Gemma Baker and Eddie Gorodetsky. The project, Mom, was seen as a return to the shows that made Lorre famous in the 90s like Sybil and Grace Under Fire, which were 30-minute comedies centered around female leads. It was given a pilot production order and officially picked up the series in May of 2013. With its pickup, Lorre had the distinction of having 4 sitcoms airing on one network with Mom, Two and a Half Men, The Big Bang Theory, and his role as executive producer on Mike and Molly. The show marks the first full-time television role for star Anna Farris. Her co-star, Allison Janney, was the first person to audition for the role of Farris's mother on the series. Today's pilot is directed by Pamela Fryan, best known as the principal director on How I Met Your Mother and Just Shoot Me.
Is Chuck Lorre the Ryan Murphy of the CBS universe? I just have to ask that right now.
The Chuck Lorre, the Ryan Murphy of Mike Schur's one?
Yeah.
Wait, so they made Allison Janney audition for this? I feel like she could do this like hands tied behind her back.
Auditioning? What is auditioning?
I feel like
anymore?
we sent it to Allison Janney and we just asked her to come in and read and like vibe with her. I don't think this is like Allison Janney was sitting in a room with 50 other people who all kind of look like Allison Janney waiting to go in.
Sent in a self-tape. And it was a little bit of a shaky camera situation. And
the lighting is bad. It's not her fault. It's on an iPhone. She's got a clip-in light. We're not going to talk about the casting director who made fun of her apartment.
Oh my gosh.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Mom. And we start off in what I can only describe as chaos without any exposition of what has happened. We just see a crying Anna Farris going through living the life of a waitress at a fairly nice restaurant. And Rich, I'm going to go to you first because it appears that Anna Farris is very good at her job while also having a mental breakdown. And does that count as being good at your job?
I mean, being able to excel on your absolute worst day, I would say yes. I have never seen a show start off with heavy emotions in the first second. That's there was no building to it. It was just Anna Farris is crying and taking everybody's order. And what'd you guys feel about in that reaction to that first second? Because like I went back and rewound it. It's like, did I miss anything? Did you too?
I mean, I didn't rewind it, but I was amazed. Like, this is the latest point of entry I think we've had for this type of show. And I love how human it all feels. Like, this feels like a real lived in individual. And I was so invested. I love the line, 2004 was a great year for this wine, not so much for me. It's the kind of line where I want to know everything that follows that line. Also, if we could just talk about one of the benefits of multicam is all you have to do is show John Cryer literally sitting there and the audience loses their goddamn minds.
Boy, that was the lowest bar for a cameo's round of applause for me.
So 2 things. Rich, I love that you rewound because I did too, but then I had the moment of thinking to myself, and I'd like you to join me in this thought exercise. If you're in the audience, did they start a little bit ahead of this moment and start filming? Or was all of the audience like, what the fuck just happened? Like Anna Farris is having a mental breakdown on set trying to get through this scene and they have no context whatsoever.
But what I really appreciate is that they just keep hitting it. They keep finding ways to play this game of her being a high class, like a high status waiter while also having this like crying episode between singing happy birthday and having to get through that song, the jokes about the wine, her in the back with the kitchen staff. It's just like watching how she does this dance through dinner service and they just keep hitting the jokes. It's not that thing even of multicam where it feels like you take a long pause to like bask and kind of mug at it. They just keep going. There's like a real fun pace to how we do this.
And then a wild French Stewart appears and you're like, what's he doing here at this moment in time? I'm curious for you two. We've watched this pilot, right? But in this scene specifically, Anna Farris is such a great physical comedian, right? Comedic actress in this sense. And I'm now having trouble being like, who else could do this opening? Like, who else is out there who could really just nail the idea of one, like, amazing feat after the other while sobbing and making it funny at the same time? Like, I've never cracked up watching someone cry and sing happy birthday at the same time, but boy, when she looked at her hand for the name, I lost my shit
Beautiful.
for a moment.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it feels very reminiscent of like an 80s or 90s sitcom of just like, you could see someone from Cheers having to do this scene. You could see someone from Taxi having to do it. I really did, I didn't appreciate it as much when I was watching it, but it's nice to hear you guys talk about it, like how impressive of an acting job that was. Cause I was still just so taken up. Like, I know that they started off on such a weird back foot of having her cry immediately, because you're automatically okay. So if you're in the audience for this, and this is the first scene that they shoot, it's Anna Farris crying immediately after a warm-up comedian. that's fucking insane. That is truly an insane thing to do to an audience.
No,
but
in
it's
this
fun. It's fun because
Yeah.
it catches you off your toes. And I even like how we build this restaurant world. And I know that this isn't going to be like our primary focus for this plot, but seeing how Nate Cordry has to like straight man everything, seeing the wild shit that Fred Stewart gets to say, and just like the absolute sledgehammer of like one-liners that he gets. And then another one of those multicam perks, like when you're zoomed out and framed that way, you can get this fun reaction of every single person turning to Anna Farris when she insults risotto. And like, it's such a fun way to frame it. You could tell that Lorre's done so many of these. You could tell that Fryman's directed so many of these types of shows, and they could just frame and hit these jokes in their sleep.
So I'm going to ask a question for you two. Did either of you know what the plot was for this show before turning it on yesterday?
I knew about the young mother aspect of Anna Faris's character, in the sense that like it was like it was a multi-generational young mother situation. Like Allison Janney is the same situation. But that's literally about it. And also, like, I think when this came out, I had yet to see Allison Janney in anything comedy related.
Well, other than 10 Things I Hate About You, I hope you've watched that.
Which we all watched.
Yes, which we have all watched, and it is... Speaking about our Shakespeare run, boy. Now, speaking of the idea of what this show is about, we're not really given why this day is different than any other day for the first half of the pilot, I would say. But before we're given that, we get to see a little bit more about the family dynamic that this mom is dealing with right at home, and what is life like as a single parent who maybe had children a little bit younger than most do. What did you think of inviting the children into the comedy playground and sort of what the vibes were like at home, Max?
Ooh,
it's like you have something cooking.
I like this dynamic. I like that we also see this dynamic through things that aren't necessarily dialogue per se. Like the second you see a boy sneaking out from a window, you know what that plot line is. And it's like, there's nothing in this pilot that I'm going to say is new or refreshing, but it's well played and it's well executed. And so I think like Violet's boyfriend and the humor we get from that is delightful. Playing off of the nerdy younger son to enhance that humor is also nice. I like that you have two very big, distinct personalities in the children. And I actually think that we get a really fun arc with Christy and her daughter Violet as this episode progresses. Like, as it becomes clear what the focus of this is, why is it different, what are we trying to resolve by the end of this, we start to see some really interesting layers in their relationship and like the different like categories you could put them in. And I think both children are well written in fun different ways.
Yeah, and there's also an element too, which I really appreciated between Christy and Violet, that there's very clearly like an apple doesn't fall far from the tree thing, and there's also like a kind of like a radical honesty between the two of them, which is kind of like what happens when you have a kid really young and you guys kind of grow up together, which is like, a little bit traumatic, a little bit like, pulling back the veil of motherhood, I guess. But also like you get an element of their relationship that it just feels very different than what you see on TV in a sitcom in general. It's like maybe you get like a young kid who will just like talk shit or like talk like an older person in the script, but this is like someone who is watching their daughter go through the same situation that she went through, but for different reasons, and she's the one causing it now. Which is like, I don't know, it's like it kind of feels like they just like kind of never stop punching at Anna Farris's character in terms of like life situations, life conflict.
There's a specific moment in this when we meet these children, right? We meet Violet, we meet Roscoe, and it's
Roscoe.
when Roscoe's badass name.
Roscoe.
You have to say it with like a snarl a little bit, but there's a moment where Roscoe is telling his mom about his talent show and then says, "I'm not very good," which is such a one. If you give me a child who has that little self-confidence, I'm going to feel bad for them immediately. It's just going to pull at my heartstrings. But that's also the moment for me that I start to feel for this character specifically, and I think that's something that a lot of sitcoms fail to do, is for you in that first episode to emotionally be connected with this character of someone who's trying really hard to support her kids and make sure they don't end up like her, just to see this moment where this kid almost is like, "Hey, I know you're trying your best, but like, don't come. I suck at this thing." Yeah. And then to have that
extremely relatable,
that 180 of her show up to the school the next day, taking a day off of work just for her kid not to perform, and then a small kid saying "son of a bitch" is the funniest thing in the world. I don't care what school you're from or whatever, but yeah, that was the kids really do make this performance that much better and make this a little bit more meaty for me.
Not as much in the back half, but like the first act of this show has so many sets for a multicam.
Yes.
Like we have the floor of the restaurant, we have the kitchen of the restaurant, we have Christy's home, her front doorstep, Roscoe's room, the school classroom, the school auditorium, and then like the AA meeting that follows. Like and then a diner after. Like there's so many sets for a multicam, and obviously he's got a budget at this point. But I was watching this, I'm like, they're just doing so many locations for a multicam pilot, and we think about some of the other ones we've covered on this show. Maybe things from like people who are a little less established, and it's like, we got 3 sets. Like we've got 3 places to shoot, and they're all actually the same place.
That's what Mid-Century Modern was like.
And $3. Rich, I'm curious from your perspective, because one of the sets that Max talked about was we have this AA meeting that I think gives us a lot of the exposition that we have been missing up to this point. And when Christy's character reveals her truth or speaks in front of her fellow AA meeting goers, just to have a comedic bit revealed at the end of it by the introduction of another mom. Yeah. What are your feelings about this this whole scene?
Yeah, because from going into the show, if you're tuning in 2013 and like you see the ads for it, Allison Janney's in it. She's the biggest name in this show. Like it's a good reveal. You kind of know who she's gonna be when you see her pop up behind Anna Farris in the AA meeting, and just to have Anna talk so candidly about her mom and the trauma that came from growing up with another alcoholic and who also had her very young. It was just such a good. It was such a good reveal moment. It felt very reminiscent of like revealing Nathan Lane's mom in Mid-Century Modern. It took a while, but it was like you hear about them off screen, for a couple pages, and then finally you hit them with it.
So I'm so glad you mentioned Linda Lavin-Rich, because I was about to jump in on this. And this audience, you telling me, okay, wait a moment. You all lose your mind for John Cryer looking nervously at a dinner menu,
Right.
but you can't hoot and holler for the reveal of Allison Janney sitting behind her daughter. She
Fucking
deserved the Linda Lavin level of applause that we got from Mid-Century Modern. You,
Get 'em.
as an audience, did not give Allison Janney her flowers. You should have been losing it. We should have had to halt shooting that scene because you were clapping so goddamn much when they revealed that woman. She is a star. She is an Oscar winner.
And that's time. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For I don't think so, honey.
Let's talk a little bit about Allison Janney's character, right? And I feel like we get the true reveal of this person when we have this bakery scene, because it's very much a two-sided character. We can see how Allison Janney probably, when she was using whatever substance, because it sounds, this show, boy, did I think a CBS primetime show was going to mention nearly every drug? Nope. But we went through the full list. And
we talk about both crystal meth and beating children in this pilot.
And I really can't center which of those things Allison Janney did not sell by the end of her monologue. But it's very interesting letting this character sort of breathe in this bakery. We see all of the different sides, and we see it through the lens of what I'm only going to call a grocery bag boy waiter at this bakery, who's trying his best to do his job well, but also get Allison Janney's number, which I'm not mad about. I would also be trying to do those two things.
Yeah,
what did you think about giving Allison Janney some room to breathe and some room to really sit in this character?
It felt a little like it felt just a little exposition dumpy for her. It like her like going and hitting on the waiter that was coming by almost didn't feel very natural. I don't, if that is fair to say. This is where it was like, oh my God, yeah, we're watching a sitcom. You know what I mean? It kind of pulled back the veil for a little bit for me. This is like part of my own wait a minute moment. But yeah, this scene in particular for me was like, oh, these are our two leads. This is where it gets real. This is where it gets fun. They're going to have the hardest jokes of the episode, and it just like kind of didn't.
Max, what about you?
Yeah, I get that. I do think that the second act feels the most like Chuck Lorre multicam-y of this episode. And you have a situation where Allison Janney is both your lead, but also being set up as your foil in a way to Christy. And so you have to push her buttons. And the way you do that is by, saying outrageous shit and getting under her skin. But I can also see how to an audience member that could read as it's over the top. It's perhaps too much. It feels unnatural because you are trying to like multicam get under someone's skin, which is a very specific type of joke. And we also start to like introduce a lot of supporting characters in this scene. We branch out from Christy, and all of a sudden we're getting Matt Jones for Breaking Bad as the baby daddy named Baxter in this. You've got just his buddy, was it just his like friend Luke hanging out in the house as well.
That's the boyfriend.
That's the boyfriend.
Luke was Violet's boyfriend.
Sorry,
yeah.
Luke's Violet's boyfriend. So it's like you're seeing,
he's friends with 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're just getting this like very, very large exposition dump of supporting characters and background information, and like Act 2 is just a lot of info.
Totally.
So let's talk a little bit about the plot of this episode, if that makes sense, because I don't think really there is one. I think that the reason that this is, we talked a little bit about why is today different. Today is different because we have not Christy has not seen her mom in what we've been told is a few years. We're not given an exact metric as far as that. But then after this meeting, really it feels like the plot is, how many other characters can we introduce in Christy's home? And how does she interact with said characters in her home?
Well, it's interesting because, like, I would say that Mom has a very clear plot in the sense of it's Christy's mom, Bonnie's returned to her life, and it's about the development of their relationship picking off after several years of not speaking to each other. But they do it in a way where it is a very late introduction. If this were like a 90-minute comedy, there's kind of like the rule of like page 19, where it's like that's the point in your script where like your character should be diving into their adventure, like that 19th page or so. And this feels like that, but in a 21-minute multicam episode where it's like we wait a long time for that call to action. We wait a long time for our story, like our plot to really begin. And then we've kind of burnt our entire first act on the restaurant humor that now we're cramming a lot of stuff really rapid fire into the back 2/3 of this.
So I want to bring us to our last scene of this show, because what we come upon is Christy's back from a shift at the restaurant, even though we don't see said shift in this instance. And she comes home to her daughter with her mom after finding out about this relationship that they're having. And it's our first real trying to clear the air, try to come to terms on their relationship. And as much as a sitcom is a situational comedy, there does have to be some form of solving this week's problem at the end of the episode, and especially at the end of the pilot. And when this pilot tries to get serious, I'm curious for the two of you, does the writing stick with you, or do you think it's, hey, we tried, we didn't really get over the finish line, but we made it, and on to next week?
Yeah, there is a what this pilot I think does very well is it mixes extremely dark human elements with comedy in this. They're very real moments. They're very real things that happen to real people. It's the moment where the daughter says that, or I'm sorry, Christy's asking, like, you know, why is Luke coming around? You guys have only been dating a little while. And she replies with, Luke and I have been dating around for over a year, but you didn't notice until you stopped drinking. Is like, that is a knife in the face kind of a line. And it is like, how do you turn that back into comedy there? And there is a pretty solid attempt, but I did not laugh. I was like, whoa, that is extra dark. And then also the manipulative scene of the relationship between Violet and Allison Janney's character, of basically them coming together and not thinking Anna Farris is a very good mom. It seems like that seems to be their bonding moment. And I don't know, it just feels there's like a lot of mean-spirited elements of this, mean-spirited and dark elements of what is generally like normally a pretty sunny sitcom from Chuck Lorre. I mean, like, I have no idea how 2.5 Men came to be. Like that particular scenario got set up, but I know that there kind of wasn't that in Big Bang Theory. Like, you know, the only moment that they had was like Penny pleading to everyone that she, even though she wasn't like a rocket scientist, a literal rocket scientist, that she was still like a person that had feelings and stuff like that they should be worried about. Like it's a big swing for Chuck Lorre, I want to say. The last time we covered Chuck Lorre,
it was two nerds trying to go to a sperm bank was like a big part of our pilot episode. And now we're dealing with something that toes the line of a very special episode in its pilot. And I really appreciate that there is like humor, but also this like gravity and very human element to this show, because, you know, you allow it to rest and be real a beat after Matt Jones says, "That's my semen at work." And like we go from that into this very serious mother-daughter conversation. And I think that when it's, Bonnie and Violet, the phrase, "she made hot dinner," like it's a joke, but also we know what that means.
Right.
Like you understand what the, the underlying message of that is. But I think it's also all setting up that like Allison Janney is the antagonist in this. Like she is the person that is pushing all of the buttons of our protagonist. And as much as you want to think of this as, oh, I love Allison Janney, it's like she is in a way like almost a villain, at least in the eyes of Christy. I'm not saying she is, but like that's why Christy perceives her.
It's almost a precursor to I, Tonya, if you think about it.
Now that I've seen Mom, I'm like, oh, I can kind of see the gears turning of why you saw her, besides being a fantastic actress, but you're like, oh, we could tap into this, like we could take this and we could really lean into this element and make it work here.
So we do leave we end our episode with a bit of a reveal as far as maybe we've seen this happen one time, we've seen this happen 2 times, maybe a 3rd time, and a 3rd generation will experience teen pregnancy in this instance. But that is our pilot. And I'm curious for you too. I'd love to hear about things you loved about this pilot that maybe we didn't discuss in depth and you want to give a little bit more shine to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the most obvious is French Stewart's character as Chef Rudy. Because they make him a cokehead, like sleeping with all the employees type of chef who's also like extremely snooty. He has a line like, "No, stop crying. That wasn't an important finger." And then followed up by, "Don't serve the soup."
Just the physical crazy comedy of him closing the door while he's consoling the employee who cut off his finger. That alone, I was crying too. I was just like, that's a perfect moment in this pilot.
Right,
Max,
in his dream.
What about you?
I mean, it has to be the restaurant world, because I know that we are going to get at least one moment every week where we are transported to that world, and it's just going to be jokes, and we could just land all these outrageous supporting characters. And also, I've done this podcast long enough that I know that at some point these worlds have to collide. And I know at some point the people from Restaurant World, and we've already established that she has some sort of relationship going on with Gabriel, Nate Cordry's character, that worlds will collide, and we will have to have Bonnie and I hope French Stewart meet at some point. And knowing that there's this other place where we can play the silly game gives me hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for myself, there are some really, like Richie sort of tapped into it, there are some really great performances in this pilot that are just like, people came into work and they were like, what if I just nailed it today? Right. And like Nate Cordry absolutely nailed just his role in this. French Stewart nailed his role. I really liked the Allison Janney performance because that bakery scene, while a shitload of exposition, I felt like, oh, she's lived in this character. She like fully is embodying that. And that was from one single scene that I was like, all right, so I think I have an idea of what this character is, and I want to know more about them and see them and how they're able to coerce and basically con everyone, which is really, really interesting. Let's talk about wait a minute moments. Things that caused you pause. I have 2. I have one serious one and one not so serious one. I'm going to start off with the not so serious one. So Violet's boyfriend, when he walks into the living room without a shirt on, has a stain on his chest, and I couldn't pay attention during the scene because he just had a stain on his chest. And
I missed that entirely.
It looked like peanut butter, and I was just like, what happened? Like, did someone go to Crafty and like have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a little bit too much peanut butter? And then they're like, oh, you won't see it on camera. I saw it on camera, and it really took me out of the scene. But
it's hard to get out, man. It's hard to get out that stuff.
Jeff, the peanut butter was meant with the lovemaking, clearly.
Well, I was, Rich, you say that. I was waiting for them to have a comment or something where like she comes out with a jar of peanut
Fully
butter.
an accident.
I was like, oh, that would be great. No, we never got that. But
No,
on a
Jeff,
more
one step further, he's got to come out with a jar of jelly.
On a more serious note, as far as this pilot goes, there are some really dark jokes in this that I was not mentally prepared for. And what I will say is, I think this would have been, you could, if you wanted to, I talked about Ryan Murphy earlier, but like, if you change the lighting a little bit and the pacing of this pilot just a little bit, this turns into a very serious show. Like extremely serious. And I don't know if I love that or if I hate that at the same point in time, because, you know, I think that for a show like this to be talking about recovery and stuff like that, that's important. To talk about recovery in a comedic sense, also very important. Can be triggering to some people. Gotta be 100% honest. But I sort of left this pilot being like, this is the darkest CBS sitcom that I have ever watched in my entire life. And I left being like, huh. Like literally, I would just like sat and I was like, huh, that was something that I just did. Max, I'm curious about you. Any wait a minute moments?
So Fryman is with this pilot. She directed the only one of the Lorre ones in this run of 4 that wasn't a Jimmy Burrows thing. But the deja vu I get watching this, where it could be the set of any Chuck Lorre show, and that's my wait a minute. And that the lighting and like the set deck and like the colors of bookshelves, it all feels so uncanny. Like any character from any Chuck Lorre show could walk out from behind a curtain and they would fit in this scene. And I think that's like a comfort thing and like why people gravitate. Like if you like these shows, you really like these shows. And I like there's such a weird, to me, almost unsettling comfort food. Like it looks like all the others. I don't know. It was weird to watch being like, I know these lights. I know what these lighting settings are. I know what these sets look like.
These are big time CBS home good sets.
I literally have in my notes, why does the picture look like 1998 as opposed to 2013? Because like Max, I had the same exact damn thought of like, this just feels not as, it doesn't feel new, which is such a unique thing for something that came out in 2013.
I think what does feel new is the sense of, there is like a darker side to 2.5 Men with Charlie's character, because like he is like a recovering party boy guy, like, which is, and that was what they wanted. They wanted to have like a comedy centered around like Charlie Sheen, who spent the 80s blowing lines. And I think for me with this pilot, maybe it's the fact that I haven't seen Allison Janney do a lot of comedy, but it seemed like the meat on her character was not there. And maybe it develops in the next couple episodes and stuff like that too. But I feel like they collectively didn't give her a good like pocket to stay in with her character. It was just like, it was too dark, and then it was antagonistic, and then you didn't laugh necessarily all that much at her jokes because they felt a little mean-spirited. And I'm like, okay, where's the redemption arc coming? Like, what is, all I see right now from this person who is part of a core cast of a sitcom is your presence is not wanted. You are actively causing the protagonist more harm, and it just like, it didn't feel right for me. It just felt like something was off.
Rich, I do have one quick quibble with you, though. You said that Charlie Sheen spent the 80s just blowing lines, and I've seen Major League and Wall Street, and he nailed every take in those.
Nice.
Well, gentlemen, we have one more question, and this is an in-flight question. Our in-flight question comes from frequent guest TV pilot and wonderful human being,
Karama, like it's a bad thing.
Karama Dankwa, who, if you want to follow for a fun time on social media, you can find it Karama Drama. And Karama asked, what do you think is the worst place you could potentially run into your mom? So, gentlemen, I want you to think, what is the worst place that you could potentially run into your mom. Unexpected.
Oh boy.
Max,
I don't want to say my real answer. Whoa. Okay, go ahead, Max.
Oh, all right, Joe. Let's throw it to me. I'm gonna say like Jewish Schwitz. I'm gonna say the saunas.
That's a very Jimmy Burrows answer.
You know what? I'll be the one who chooses to do something nuts. So in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, there's a place that you both probably might know as well. It's called Hustlers Hollywood, and it's just straight in the middle. And if I run into my mother there, that means my mother does not know I'm in Florida, and that's going to be a whole problem, let alone talking about how we've run into each other in Hustlers Hollywood, which is a perfectly fine establishment if you are looking for some place for something fun. Rich, what about
you
yourself?
Come home and you don't call?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God. I would say like a casino of some sort, because then I know something's gone terribly wrong with the family.
I'll meet you at the $5 blackjack table. Well, Karama, thank you so much for that in-flight question. We'll talk a little bit more about how to submit those on Instagram, as well as leave a voicemail and a
answer
text.
would have been out of pocket, too.
Yeah, Karama, send us your answer.
Yeah, Karama, you have to send your answer too. Well, let's talk a little bit about the history of this show. This show had 8 seasons and 170 episodes. I highly recommend, if you are interested in seeing a wild who's who of a cast list, look at the IMDb for this, because holy shit, there are some people that you're like, wait, they did more than 3 episodes on this? That's insane. And that does, after only watching the pilot, give me some hope for what's to come. But let's talk a little bit about ratings. You know how CBS says that they're the #1 network in television?
Is that real?
Boy, do these ratings seem to prove it, because the first season in 2013 averaged 8.34 million viewers per episode. And it was surpassed in its second season by averaging 11.79 million viewers. So it had nearly a 33% increase in viewership. And then the seasons after, up until like the 6th season, it was 10.45 million people who were watching this average each night.
Past the streaming age.
Oh, yeah. Way past the streaming age, which is super impressive. Let's talk a little bit about awards. 37 nominations, 5 wins. 2 of those being to Miss Allison Janney for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy.
Surfboard.
And no surfboards for anyone. Rich, there were so many people choice noms. There were 0 teen choice noms.
Damn.
I am so sorry to tell you that.
But a few supporting characters who definitely do have surfboards in real life.
Teens are people.
Baxter definitely has a surfboard in that car. In that van that's
used.
getting towed away. Well, gentlemen, that is the history of the show. Rich, it is time for your game of the week.
Dun, 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 dun. All right. Well, can we really talk about Anna Farris as the star of this week's show without talking about her family legacy? The Ferris wheel.
Nope. Max just left.
Jeff's out this week. All right. An early iteration of the... And Max really left. That's great. Well, Jeff, just me. Used your chance of winning this week.
All right, let's see. It's been
an early iteration of the Ferris wheel, who was called the Pleasure Wheel, a vertically rotating wheel with chairs that was operated by strongmen. This invention predates all but which invention? A, champagne. B, the calculator. C, the thermometer. D, the telescope.
I'm going to say C, the thermometer.
Are we including, is it called an abacus? The thing with the...
I think it's a calculating machine.
Okay. So you're speaking about an actual calculator.
Yeah, because the abacus was invented like in
Egyptian
Greece,
the 80s.
Right? Oh, the 80s. As in 8000 BC.
Yes. I am going to say that it is champagne.
No, it is the telescope. Did you know that champagne was invented by a guy named Dom Perignon? I had no idea.
What?
And it was in the 1600s.
Was his last name Don?
Dom Don?
Dom Perignon Don. Let's go.
Jesus. All right. The modern Ferris wheel, as we know it, was debuted at the World's Fair, specifically the 1893 Columbian Exposition in Chicago. What was not a debut at the Columbian Exposition in Chicago? A, Juicy Fruit Gum. B, the Barnum and Bailey Circus. C, the Squashed Penny Machine. D, you know what those are, right? You get to see them at museums and shit. And D, the Moving Walkway.
I'm gonna say B, Barnum and Bailey.
I want to say B as well.
Yeah, it's B, the Barnum and Bailey Circus. That was debuted the World's Fair before, so 8 years prior. Nice.
Awesome.
Thanks for playing Ferris wheel games.
Thank you so much.
Of course, you had to shoehorn Chicago in there.
Yeah, I gotta.
Well, gentlemen, as our flight comes to a land, I have two questions for each of you, and that is first, based off of the pilot and the pilot alone, would you watch more of Mom? I speaking explicitly about the CBS show, not about your mom, Rich. But then the second question is, as far as the multicam comedy, right? Like, this one had a really good run. It went to 2023. It only stopped 2 years ago.
That's insane.
What do you think about having more multicam comedies that maybe approach subjects that are a little bit less traditional and a little bit more risky? So, Rich, I'm going to ask you first.
Big shocker. I am watching episode number 2 of this. I was not expecting to enjoy a Chuck Lorre show for more than 8 minutes, and then I did. And I want to see more of French Stewart. That dude is completely in the zone doing knocking out sitcom jokes. I would definitely like to see more comedies, or I guess more sitcoms that like tackle, heavier stuff. Like, it's crazy that it took this long to have like a men of a certain age gay sitcom and like to show up in 2025 of all times. So yeah, I think there's more worlds to explore there. I think you can't have Cheers without the repercussions of alcoholism, right? So yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Max,
Thank you
what
so
about
much.
yourself?
I didn't expect to go into this saying yes to a Chuck Lorre show.
Yeah.
And yet here we are. Both Rich and I agree with it. This is a monster of a two-handed production. I think that both Farris and Janney are excellent as comedians and comedic performers, and the supporting cast is delightful. And I'm in. I want to see more. And you know what I really want to see more? And I guess we'll just kick it back to mid-century modern again with this too. I'm liking seeing modern day multicams that are not just, here is a stand-up comic and we rehash their jokes and put something kind of like framed around them. It's nice to see.
Really throwing Mulaney to the wolves.
I mean, I could never speak ill of that gem of a show. But seeing these multicams that are dealing with more complicated issues and characters that have a little bit more depth besides this is stand-up's material rehashed, or this is the third spin-off of Big Bang Theory, is really nice to see. And I think it's a fun medium to play with. And sorry, I missed that.
Oh, I said even younger Sheldon.
Fetus Sheldon.
Until there is a younger Sheldon. But yeah, I'm pro multicam. I'm pro multicam. What can I say? Sue me.
Hell yeah.
I didn't think I was going to be the most negative on this show.
Yeah, get it. Find it, Geoff. Find it.
But this is what I'll say. I'm definitely a maybe. Maybe I'll watch this.
Come on.
That's a pitchfork 2 from Geoff.
You know what? I'll never forgive Pitchfork for giving Donald Glover a 2 for camp. Fuck you, Pitchfork.
Shout out to Ian Cohen.
Fucking assholes.
Come on the pod.
Yeah, come on the pod so I can ream you. So I can ream you, Ian. All right.
We're doing Community with Ian Cohen.
No, but what I'll say is why I am a maybe. The plus sides of this pilot are very, very apparent to me. You have these two powerhouses who are going to be going at each other in multiple scenes. And the couple of scenes that we got with them are great. The physical comedy of Anna Farris, fantastic. The thing that throws me, and I know I complimented it earlier, is the idea of the subject that we are dealing with. And for me personally, I do find that a little bit, tiny bit triggering, which is that happens. That not trying to be a little sensitive boy, but more so just being when I watched this, I was like, huh, like these are funny, but also what's happening? I think that this is one that, having sat with it a little bit, because yesterday I watched it immediately and I was like, I'll never watch another episode of this. 24 hours later, I'm sitting here being like, what would happen if we like gave Anna Farris some rollerblades and she was going in the restaurant, right? Like, let's there's the part of me that's just like, let's see that physical comedy shine, right? Which is so dumb.
What if she worked at a Sonic and we got rid of the parts that make me upset?
Maybe I just want Anna Farris in a Sonic.
You just want to give more support to the heir of the Ferris Wheel fortune.
Yeah, so what I will say is, it's definitely a maybe. As far as more sitcoms, I'm a big fan of sitcoms, y'all. Like I think that sitcoms are such a lost art, and when they hit, holy shit, that is something that there's a reason that CBS keeps trying, right? They keep on trying that formula, and NBC keeps on trying as well. They're like, ooh, we're gonna find it one day. We're gonna get back to the early 2000s and everyone's gonna love us again. And I wish that for them both, because my dumbass will be sitting right in front of the TV watching it as appointment television. But gentlemen, that is our flight. But before we go, I want to make sure that folks can find you wherever you are. Rich, where can folks find you?
You can find me deciding which fingers are important, and you can also find me on Instagram at Damn That's Rich. You can also find me and Max on TikTok at Dadwagon Comedy for some original sketch comedy.
Max?
You can catch me trying to figure out if this tastes like mushrooms or ass, and on all things social media at Maxwell Sig.
Oh, spinoff pod.
Ian Cohen, you can find me at Run Jeff Run. No, but if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me at Run Jeff Run. If you're looking for the TV
about
pilots,
to drop your address.
No. We're not going to fall into that.
No more. Jeff doxed himself.
No, you can probably actually find me at the bakery waiting to get Allison Janney's number. But if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me at Run Jeff Run. If you're looking for the TV Pilots license, you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave us reviews, download our podcast. Helps. It really, really helps as we're continuing this 3-year mission to grow. If you have a question for the podcast, maybe an in-flight question, you can shoot those to us at tvpilotslicense@gmail.com. You can also leave us a text or shoot us a voicemail at 213-290-1713. Make sure to watch out for some of the sneak previews of some of the stuff that we have coming up, including some very exciting guests who are super excited to talk to you about some very fun things. But until then, with the plane landed and the seatbelt sign off, we look forward to flying the bright skies of the TV world with you soon. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your finger on the dial.
Oh, Johnny boys, the pods are talking.